military clients that are able to be here today are Dan and Piston. Justin. I'll talk loudly. Justin and Boomer, Sean and Rami, Mark and Cinder, and Michael and Torch. And I just want to mention, some of you have probably heard about a group that's formed called Decker's Dogs. And Denver wide receiver Eric Decker and his wife Jessie have started a foundation. They've started a foundation called Decker's Dogs, and all the money that they raise through their foundation, they're giving to Freedom Service Dogs to provide more dogs for soldiers. And as you can see today, we do a variety. Well, thank you. We do a variety of clients. We have, children, adults, therapy dogs, and military. You hear a lot of emphasis on the military program because it's just such an incredible need right now. The last time we checked, there were, I think, 130 some applications that were in process. They might have the application in but not the medical, or they didn't have the video or whatever. And of those, I think upwards of 80 are military. It's just a crying need right now to help these veterans that are coming back. And you can go to our website and click on Decker's Dogs, and it's $25 to join, and you get an autographed copy of the gorgeous Eric Decker, and I can say that because he's not here, and the fact that I'm old enough to be his mother. And Jessie and Eric will send you a letter. You can also sign up for every time he makes a touchdown. They'll take your credit card number and make a donation to Freedom Service Dogs. So the reason I bring that up is the very first Decker's dog is in this graduating class, and it's Sean and Rami. And so we'll hear a little bit more about that a little bit later on.
So first we have Dan and Piston came to us from the Prison Trained Canine Companion Program and was trained by Sarah.
You know what really makes this fun? Piston was one of those dogs that I get a referral message from a shelter manager. She just wasn't too sure she was going to be able to place him in a public adoption because he was such a bad dog, he needed a little bit of help. So I am so pleased to see him up here today.
Piston was actually he was pretty young when he first came to us, and then he was fostered somewhere and then came back to us for training. His handler, Mr. Rush, up in Sterling, says, Piston came to me somewhat uncoordinated, and that was an understatement. He was a very large, playful kid, but he does learn well. He's a great companion. He loved to play with another FSD dog named Bosley, who just graduated. They ran around our softball field, but both developed a great out-of-play recall doing it. Piston, I think, will be a wonderful addition to anyone's home. Good luck.
So the other trainers will remember every single time that we had our dog ops meeting and Piston's name would come up, it was always, I love him. He's perfect, he's doing so well. Well, he did eat another harness, but he's wonderful. And so that was the one thing that we always had trouble with, was him eating his harness. His dad finally figured out the solution. He's got this in place of where his normal nylon strap goes in the front of his harness. It has been replaced with a chain, and it works great. He can't eat through the chain. Why didn't we think of this? Piston holds the record at FSD for most harnesses eaten. So he's a wonderful guy, and I'm really happy to see him up here on this stage. He was a pleasure to work with. Very, very intelligent dog. And so much fun to train.
Piston also holds the record for most harnesses busted in my house, which is 3 in 24 hours. And that's when I came up with the idea for the chain, and so far it's not been a problem. Piston is the tail of 2 dogs, and you'll have to excuse me. Piston has allowed me to come off a lot of my meds, so the emotions tend to kind of come out like an actual human. But this is Piston at work, doing nothing. If he's not in my lap, which he might be soon because he knows I'm upset. But when the harness comes off, he is a completely different dog, and I totally understand everything you guys said. His favorite thing to do in the snow is to race around my backyard with his mouth open, scooping up snow like a snowplow. But thank you guys.
Next, we have Justin and Boomer, who you just watched in his video. Boomer came to us from the Weston County Humane Society and was trained by Joe.
Yeah, it's hard to put into words exactly what Boomer's done in my life. I'm just thinking about what he's going to be doing in Sergeant Bond's life. It's just going to be absolutely amazing because from the very start, when I started training with Boomer, I understood that Boomer was going to be training me. And it really was the case. I have learned so much about working with dogs and the respect I garnered from the way Boomer was in his training has just been incredible. I could write a book on Boomer. Absolutely have no trouble writing a book about Boomer. He absolutely is the definition of happy. I have never been around a dog that is 24/7 happy. He's like a helicopter when it comes to his dinner. He'll just sit there, first whiff he gets of it, big smile on his face, and he whirls around. He's real polite and sits there and waits for you, and you put his bowl down. He actually is eating a little bit better now, instead of heard the story about labs and how quickly they eat their food. He's slowed down and learned to enjoy it now. I always get a kick out of him when he goes, and of course the tennis ball with him is an extremely valuable toy, and it's all that's required. He really can live with just a tennis ball the rest of his life. When he brings it back to me, he's the first dog I've seen that actually dives on the ball, and then he grabs it with his paws and sits there and looks at you until you grab it from him. So I'm sure Sergeant Bond is going to carry on and help us a great deal at FSD with our program and how we're trying to work directly with veterans across the United States. I'm just real pleased. Obviously, I have to say that this is a service dog that was taken out of a rescue. Incredible. I just hope and pray that we can continue doing this and rescue dogs because they can turn around and be absolutely wonderful little miracles like Boomer is. So, thank you.
He's a hero helping a hero. And he was, labs are just nice dogs, but he's exceptional, him and his brother. And they were just in such a horrible situation, and now look. And so thank you, and good luck with him. And he'll do wonderful things for you, because he just will. He's just a kind, sweet boy. He's was a little more than his brother, but he's a good boy, and good luck, and thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a couple of quick things. Boomer was trained up in Sterling by one of my handlers by the name of James Whitler, and Boomer almost ruined him because he said, after this dog, there's no dog that will ever be as good as him. In his words, he said, if I had only one word to describe Boomer, it would be amazing. He said, I knew early on in his training that he could change lives, and I'm glad to hear that he is fulfilling his destiny. He was amazing. He's had a few dogs since him. It was his first service dog to train, and he's had a few since then, and it's hard to compare. So he's an amazing dog.
You know, speaking about the food dish, first night I got home to the hotel there, I was all proud. I'm like, yeah, you know, I get this food, pump up the chest. You know, I'm kind of like a dad, you know. My wife doesn't let me do food for the kids. And, I put it down. I'm like, he looks at me, waits, puts his head down. Like, well, he said he doesn't want to eat. I sit there for a little bit. I said, don't you want to take it? Boom! I said, oh, there's commands, okay. So, yeah, then the food was just gone in one gulp. I was like, oh my goodness. But, you know, after returning home from combat, I spent a lot of time, you know, in the hospital. I went through 33 surgeries, and then I was on the couch for a while, and I kind of got depressed. And I saw that the suicide rate, it was just skyrocketing, 22 a day, and I had lost 9 friends that I served in combat with. And I was just torn up by it. And so I got up and started helping and started doing things, and stupid things like riding a Segway across America and a few things like that. But I met a lot of veterans that had service dogs. I'm like, yeah, what does he do for you? You know, and they're like, you know, I'm like, you pick this up, you pick that, but they kept going into the emotional state of it. And I'm talking about triple amputees and things like that. I'm like, yeah, but did you pick that up for you? Throw your card on the ground, let me see that. You know, and pretty soon I was skeptic at how it was working. But what I learned by talking to the Sam Rayborn VA Institute is that 100% of their guys that had service dogs that were on suicide watch got off suicide watch. I thought, wow, I'm skeptical, you know? And so as I went on, and my wife kept saying, you need to get a service dog. And I was getting called out to a lot of suicides or attempts. And I went to a couple that the therapist had a therapy dog. And they got him out of it every time. Every time the guys got out of suicide watch, I was like, wow. And it got to be to where I'm attending sometimes 5 a week, 6 a week of these suicide attempts. And so my wife, she was like, you need to do it. And I was like, well, you know, I was making up excuses. You know, and then so anyway, long story short, we got out here and I didn't know what to expect. In the last couple of years, I've been on the list, almost 2 years waiting, and I wanted to back out so many times. So many times I wanted to back out. I thought it's just going to be hard. Hard to have a dog with you, hard on the airplane. I mean, I know I don't need all that leg room, but it's still, you know, airplanes are tiny. I like my space. And I tell you what, I got out here, I came out and visited a few times. I figured if I just flew in, maybe they would get tired of me and just give me a dog. And I think it kind of worked because they matched me the dog after the second time. But I met Joe and I met Boomer on this, and they started working with me. And I got to the hotel room that night and I got it. I realized what it really was. You know, when I came back from combat, I didn't want to go hang out with my friends. All my best friends that I grew up with, and I just realized this today. I'm done with them. I haven't hung out with them since. And maybe it's because they don't understand, you know, and did you have to kill somebody? Oh, no. My last name's Bond, and so there's always a lot of jokes, but you know, they always want to know these things. And I didn't always want to tell the stories. But with Boomer, he got up there from night one when I couldn't sleep. He was right there. Of course, he had a ball at that point. But no, then he doesn't worry about the ball, and pretty soon a paw was up on me. And pretty soon, I found myself being able to talk myself to sleep. I know that, you know, but that's what it was. I would talk to him, and he would just hang out with me, and he understood. He listened. You know, I love my wife to death, but she would be like, really, can't you go to sleep? And he was like, I'll listen. And so it's just amazing. I'm starting to get it, and I'm starting to understand why the dogs help out so many people. And I'm very excited for the future. I'm excited to be able to go and meet with more, not excited to be with more people on Suicide Watch, but I'm excited to be able to have Boomer to be able to diffuse the situation. And he's already helped me out tremendously when I'm on my crutches, you know, if something drops all the time. He just gives it to me, and it's so cool. He gives me his own leash. It's like, So he's super smart, and you know, getting to know the trainers here, it's been awesome. Because these guys, when they come to work, they work all day. They train dogs, and it's like training an infant. You know, there's time, I got the good end of it, he's trained. But I've seen some of the other dogs that they're working on, I'm like, oh, I couldn't do it. And then at the end of the day, when they clock out and they go home, they say, get in the car, let's go home. And they take the dogs home with them. They're on guard, they're working 24/7. And I don't know, 5,000 times, Joe and Sarah and all the trainers said, make sure you call me if you have any problem. As they've got 3 dogs at home, a family, friend, you know, and so it's just amazing. And so I'll wrap it up right here. I just want to thank everybody that's been supporting Freedom Service Dogs, that's been there, because you know what? You're changing lives. You really are. And I'm just barely experiencing it, but I've seen it from others. And I definitely want to thank the trainers and all the employees, because it's such a tough job. I mean, I've seen it now, and cleaning up poop and dealing with infants all the time is just not easy. 24 hours a day. So appreciate it, and may God bless all you guys and Freedom Service Dogs so that we can continue this great thing.
So next we have Sean and Rami. Rami is from the Prison Trained Canine Companion Program as well and was trained by Kathy.
So before I talk about Rami, I just want to say what it takes to get us to where we are today. It takes Bree and the other trainers finding us these kind of dogs that can do this kind of work. And then it takes Sarah to come up with the matches. And I haven't seen any better matches than I've seen this year. And then it takes all the volunteers and the volunteer trainers and the weekenders and the care staff. So if you could please give all of them a hand, because that's how we got here. And then there's Rami. Rami has lived with me just short of a year. He came to me as a puppy. With his bursts of energy, he would sometimes be over the top. Rami has never had a bad day. He approaches every day with a big grin and lots of interest in what new experiences will I have today. Some considered this rowdy pup a problem, but I always considered him someone's solution. I knew this excitable guy with his unstoppable desire to live life to its fullest would someday meet his match, Sean, and he would give that person his undivided attention and loyalty, even though he's asleep now. His fearless nature was evident one evening when we went to the movies. We got there a little late, so it was all dark when you go in. From the bright lights outside, you couldn't see anything. So we walk up the stairs, we get to where the seats are, and Rami looks down the aisle, and it looks like just one big black hole, but he can see these things sticking up there. So Rami jumps up on the seats and walks down to his place. Luckily, nobody else wanted to see that movie that night, so it wasn't a problem. At least that was the making of Rami's sequel. Rami did some time in prison and he learned many things. He's really good at trying to steal treats, but I think he's just making sure we are on our toes, and he's always being helpful. Rami is the first Decker's dog. He is the perfect Decker's dog because he is young, full of energy, he's fearless, rowdy, loves to get the ball and run with it. He's unstoppable, a little mischievous, always ready, moves with grace, plus he's really good looking. He has basked in the media attention being named the first Decker's dog and has been totally in the game when asked to attend various events. He has never been one to want to visit with other people, so when Sean came in to meet him to see if there would be a connection, I warned him, he's pretty connected to me right now and he may not show much interest at first. However, I had to pry him out of Sean's lap. The two made an instant connection that has just continued to grow each day. Even though Rami occasionally hears uh-oh and phooey, and maybe even more than occasionally, he adores Sean, and he remembers that, and just remember that Rami has never had a bad day. He always has a smile on his face. Now it's just broader and brighter. I've never seen a better connection between two. These guys have hit it off, and Rami just watches Sean, stares at him, and is always just looking for his next command. So it's been great.
Romney was one of a group of puppies that was donated to us by a breeder. His mother is a standard poodle. His father is a Labrador Retriever. But what you should know about that Labrador Retriever is he was a titled master hunter. His grandfather on his father's mother's side was Canadian National Amateur Field Champion, Canadian National Field Champion. That tells you that dog likes to retrieve.
Well, I didn't know all of that about Rami when I was his roommate in prison. His name was Romney while he was in prison. One of my best friends who's still in prison trained Romney, who's now Rami. Him and Torch here were very best friends, and ironically what you said about his personality and how silly he is, and Torch would feed off of him. So we were like, okay, we have to keep these two dogs away from each other because they're so silly when they're together. But what an amazing dog. Always had a smile. He would come out of his kennel first thing in the morning and just, hi! So he is an amazing dog, and I really enjoyed spending time with him as a roommate. Also, my roommate, who was actually assigned to him as a trainer, wrote this. Outgoing, playful, and full of energy, don't even begin to describe Romney's personality. He is always a ball of energy and so much fun. Romney was quick at picking up new commands and always eager to learn. He will certainly make you laugh and keep you smiling. One look and you have to smile because he looks like he's smiling right back at you. His tail never stops wagging, a sure sign that he loves life. I'm so proud of him and will miss him always. Whoever gets Rami is sure to always have a reason to smile.
So I have just a big thank you to say to Kathy and the rest of the trainers for everything they've done, from the prison program all the way up to the people in the back that take care of marketing. But also I want to thank the people that donate to Freedom Service Dogs. Without the donations and without the support, this dog would never be with me. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that Freedom Service Dogs needs the support. It would be great if every one of you guys went and told 10 friends about this program, and those 10 friends then told 10 other friends, and you guys all donated $10 to this. That would spread this thing like wildfire around Denver and around the state of Colorado and help a lot more veterans like myself and Justin and Mark and the rest of these guys, because right now we need it. It feels like, I don't know what it really feels like. I was very nervous about getting a dog. I was very, at first impatient. I just wanted a dog. And then it became, well, it's gonna be like a kid. I'm not sure I want a kid. So I went through the same thing Justin did about doing this. And then when they called, they had a second interview for me, and I went in and we talked, and then they brought in Rami in. And I just had to laugh. I mean, just looking at him, you have to laugh. There's not a hair that goes in the same direction. And it's awesome. Especially at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're tossing and turning and all of a sudden his face looks down at you. And he has, if you guys will notice, he has these hairs in front of his eyes. You can't help but just all of a sudden to smile, try to go back to sleep, you know. But I thank you, especially to Kathy and the rest of these trainers. They've done a fabulous job, and I look forward to being able to take him to events and especially spread the news about Decker's dogs and what Eric Decker and his wife Jessie are doing with their foundation. That's a great thing for all of us, especially in this community. So thank you very much.
Next we have Mark and Cinder. Cinder was a private donation to us with her sister Plume, who we met earlier. I was lucky enough to be Cinder's trainer. Cinder also went through the prison program as well with her sister, and they're quite the duo. I personally have to send a big thank you out to Mitch, one of our incredible volunteers. He is tolerant enough to let us send some really wacky dogs home with him. And he has been always patient and always, done everything he can. And unfortunately, we haven't sent him, the cream of the crop. So he hasn't had a service dog that he has raised for us yet, and Cinder is his first. I don't think a day went by during the week that I may not have gotten We're very excited. We're a little bummed because if they don't make it, Mitch finds them an adoptive home, which is really helpful for the rest of us. But we're really excited to have his first service dog, and a day didn't go by, I didn't get an email from him. Did she fail yet? Can I send in my adoption application yet? How's she doing? She doing okay still? And even with that, strong bond, he did everything in his power to make her an amazing service dog. He did some incredible foundation work with her that made my job really easy. She's been a joy since day one. She just, for those of you that have been here before, I love my poodles. And she's just a really special girl. She's a little sensitive. And I have to say, when I met Mark, I laughed a little bit. He's one of our tough veterans, and I gave him this silly little poodle. And they've been incredible. She has just been exactly what he needed, and he has been nothing short of an incredible, caring father to her, and I couldn't be happier.
Cinder was trained up in Sterling by my handler by the name of Tom Stewart. And he writes, Cinder was a great dog to work with. She loves to make her human happy. She loved to play with her sister Plume. The two sisters were out playing in the yard one day, and the only light pole in the whole entire yard, and Cinder hit it. He said, it rang so loud that the people in the yard all turned and looked, and she didn't miss a beat, just kept running and playing with her sister. I absolutely loved her.
Yeah, I just want to thank Freedom Service Dogs for Cinder. It hasn't been easy. The best thing that's ever happened to me was surviving my second tour in Vietnam. And I just don't think things are going to be better. I just think the people that have donated to Freedom Service Dogs, and I thank Freedom Service Dogs for what they've done for me. Thank you.
I think her and her sister are part cat because their favorite thing to do is rub up and down your legs until they knock you over. And next we have Michael and Torch. And Torch also came to us from the Prison Trained Canine Companion Program and was trained by Kathy.
I want to tell you, the first time that I saw this dog was in not one of the better humane shelters in the state, standing behind a chain link fence looking at me. So I'm very blessed today to see him here blessing you.
I didn't introduce myself last time. My name is Susan Henson, and I was in prison for 7.5 years. I'm recovering.